I think as someone who's not a professional athlete, I think just find something that you enjoy doing.
Stop using BPA in food contact
Mm.
materials. I think they're 20 years late, but we should celebrate that as a public health success story.
Fishing for me, when I think of fishing, fishing is a challenge. So throughout your whole fishing session, you're thinking, what should I tie on next? How do I improve my cast? Uh, trying to find fish. So your mind is constantly moving to the next challenge. And I think that's why it's so good because it keeps you busy.
I would hate for anybody to feel that they were being blamed for their cancer diagnosis. That day was like it happened before we were kind of conscious that it was. It was a bit like a dream, and the way we executed and stuff like that was like almost like we planned it and then it happened, and then we realised it had happened after we'd won, and we were like,
That's just
oh,
incredible.
what's happened?
For me, it's the fact that I love football. I love playing football. I love being with my team. And I think that knowing that in order for me to be a professional athlete, you have to do things you don't want to do. You have to eat right. You have to go to the gym and do those extra things that you don't want to do. And I think for me, it's knowing that once I do those things, I get to reap the benefits of playing football. If I don't do those things, if I don't do the gym, if I don't eat well, I'm not going to be able to be a professional athlete. So that's for me how I have to like remind myself you need to do this because otherwise you're not going to be able to do what you love doing on a day-to-day basis. I think as someone who's not a professional athlete, I think just find something that you enjoy doing. So if I didn't play professional football, it probably wouldn't be the gym, but it might be something, a different activity. Like I actually quite like cycling. I say that I like leisurely cycling. I won't be doing a Tour de France anytime soon, but I think just trying to find things that you enjoy. And fitness doesn't have to be how long you can run for, how fast you can run. Like I think that people use fitness like different measurements to suggest what fit is or isn't. And I might be able to run a few lengths of a football pitch, but if you ask me to do something else, I probably can't do that at that same intensity. So I think just find an activity that you love and continue to do that. And if you don't enjoy going to the gym, find something else. If you don't enjoy walking too far, find something else. There are so many different exercises out there that can help contribute to being healthy, to being fit. And I think that it's just about trial and error to figure out what your thing is.
We're trying to move science away from studying one chemical at a time because there is no human on Earth who's exposed to one of these things at a time.
But interestingly, our regulatory system quite likes to look at them individually, don't they? And will
That is the
determine.
biggest frustration
Yeah.
is even when we're thinking about bisphenols, just in the last few years in Europe, there's been a huge movement by regulatory agencies to stop using BPA in food contact materials. I think they're 20 years late, but we should celebrate that as a public health success story. The problem is that in those all that regulation around BPA, we're now replacing BPA with BPS, and it's also estrogenic, and it's also
Yeah.
having these same effects on the mammary gland. So yes, the regulatory system still has a lot of catching up to do. And that catching up is not just about studying mixtures, but also about studying the mammary gland at all. Because when we test chemicals for safety out in the world, the mammary gland is once again sort of given short shrift. It's poorly studied. In cases where regulatory agencies are requiring animal studies for chemicals, they often don't look at the mammary gland at all, or when they look at it, they dismiss the findings. And this is incredibly frustrating to those of us in the field because we know that these chemicals are affecting the mammary gland, and that is not driving public health protective actions.
But do you think that less mainstream disciplines such as fishing, do you think they're becoming more popular as a way of keeping people moving?
I think I would say yes. We have this kind of running joke that, there's a cartoon and it says, "I'm an athlete," and he's a fisherman with a beer belly. And I think it's a very gentle activity, a sport, a physical sport, and I think that's why it's so good because you can get your 10,000 steps in. It's a repetitive motion with your your dominant side, but you can also fish with your non-dominant side, and then you can that repetitive motion I think is very good. And I'm not sure whether have you heard of Casting for Recovery, the breast cancer. So it's a breast cancer fishing charity who started in the US and actually came over to the UK, but it stopped during COVID. But they are huge in the US, and it's an amazing, amazing charity. It's for women with breast cancer, and they do all sorts of events. And there are studies, like you said, because of the repetitive motion, the walking, the breathing in the fresh, air. And I think as a bundle, fishing is really good for anyone who tries it. And also, an obvious one for your mental health, just to be away from your laptop or your phone or the hustle and bustle of whatever that your life brings, or personal problems or illness. I think getting away from that just for a second, and fishing for me, when I think of fishing, fishing is a challenge. So throughout your whole fishing session, you're thinking, what should I tie on next? How do I improve my cast? Trying to find fish. So your mind is constantly moving to the next challenge. And I think that's why it's so good, because it keeps you busy. And yes, we're not running marathons, and we're not, you could actually, I mentioned before, you can actually find lakes up mountains, but most of your fly fishing scenarios are walking around that lake or wading that river, and you're constantly on the move. But on the flip side, if you are struggling with mobility, it is also a very, very good place to be.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, actually, one of your other passions is the work that you do for the charity you co-founded, the Cancer and Pisces Trust. And one of the things that you set up the charity for was to support cancer patients and their carers through angling, but also to support them to get through those extremely traumatic periods. Can you talk to us more about the benefits of fishing to the members of your charity and some of their stories?
So I will start with a comment that I've just heard today. So one of our members, he couldn't make it today because he's in hospital, but he said to one of the ladies who works at Cancer and Pisces, or his wife said to this lady, that fishing was one of the things that was keeping him going in Cancer and Pisces, because I think for him, he's learnt how to fish during his diagnosis, and he's met so many friends at Cancer and Pisces, and it's almost like we're a really great team, and we've now known some of our members for 4 years, and it's a repetitive thing. So if you know that next month you get to go to that lake and you get to meet those friendly faces and talk about what's going on, if you want to, and if it makes you feel better, it's something to look forward to. And I also I think it's a lot of it is community. And we provide a safe space for people. They have a free lunch, and I think it's just about being outside. It just makes people feel so much better.
Everybody's different, and I would hate for anybody to feel that they were being blamed for their cancer diagnosis. I mean, even even in a case as clear-cut as smoking and lung cancer, that's a very clear-cut case now. Everybody knows smoking causes lung cancer. Nobody would dispute that. But if somebody gets lung cancer having smoked, I would never blame them. They didn't decide to go out and get lung cancer. They were just raised in an environment where, a series of factors led to them becoming a smoker, and obviously it's addictive. It's not their fault, and it's nobody's fault who gets cancer, any type of cancer. And the thing with cancer is it's so multifactorial that even if you do everything right, you could still get cancer. And even if, we all know smokers and drinkers who are cancer-free, into old age. Sometimes it just appears like there's no rhyme or reason to it. And even to use lung cancer and smoking as an example, you can't even specifically say that smoking causes lung cancer, because if it did, then everybody who smokes would get lung cancer, and they don't. There are always other factors at play. So with breast cancer, I think the key thing is to talk about risk reduction, reducing or increasing risk, rather than prevention or cause. Because I think people hear prevention and cause and they think that's too clear cut, and it's not like that. It's too black and white. You've simplified it too much. I don't believe it. And I know it's less headline grabby to talk about risk reduction and risk increase. But I think that's what it has to be, because there are so many different factors that are behind a cancer diagnosis.
And a lot of them we can't change. That's also
a lot of them we can't change. Exactly. Which I know some people go, oh, well, then I'm just not even going to try.
Yeah.
But my attitude would be, well, then let's definitely change the ones we can.
If I get this straight, you really need a combination of, strength, obviously, so you can go fast. You need wit, so the ability to outwit your opponents. But you also need to be fearless.
Yeah.
Because going 50 Ks an hour...
Yeah, we get up to about 70 or just over at our fastest as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's the combination of it all. But like you said, that mental side is actually probably most important. Most of the work for us is done by the time we get to race day. And it's how well you can dial into what you've got on the day and how clever you can be.
Wow, incredible. Well, you certainly shone with your teammates last year, and not just with the Olympics, but then you went on to win the championships as well. And breaking how many records?
So we broke the world record 3 times at the Olympics, every single round, which is pretty cool. And then we backed it up, like you said, with the World Championships. So we're hoping that world record's going to keep ours for a little bit of time, because the world record before was, I think it was 8/10 slower than we ended up getting on the day. That day was like, it happened before we were kind of conscious that it was a bit like a dream, and the way we executed and stuff like that was like almost like we planned it and then it happened, and then we realised it had happened after we'd won, and we were like,
that's just incredible.
What's happened?
Yeah. And then MBE this year.
Yeah.
Fantastic, just to top it off, but I'm sure there's a lot more to come. And is it down to your success? I mean, how much is it down to Team GB and the support that you get and the kind of training that you're able to, get into now?
Yeah, I think there's this team, the women's team sprint specifically, has been a massive project for a lot longer than people are aware of. The last team sprint we had at the Olympics was in 2012, because we didn't qualify for Rio or Tokyo. And I've been part of that development squad. There's kind of been like 2 different squads. We have like the old squad, and there's a massive gap, and then there's the rest of us. So my teammate Katie's the only rider remaining from that older squad. And there's 6 years between me and her, and I'm almost the first of the next generation. So that kind of illustrates the gap that we had to fill and overcome. And it's been a massive team effort from the riders themselves, but also from the staff and the support, to get us to the Olympics. And it's funny because 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, the conversation was still about qualifying, just qualifying. That was some people's goals. I mean, within the squad, we all still want to win. We always want to win. It's not really a matter of just getting there. But it's really funny how quickly it went from, yeah, we want to qualify to, yeah, we want a podium to, yeah, we really want to win. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes that you don't get to see as well. Have been a big part of that journey. But yeah, we wanted that, and we changed the culture, and obviously it's paid off.
And who was the team to beat at the Olympics? Apart from yourselves, of course.
Well, you'd say the Germans. So they had won the World Championships for, I don't even know how many years before. They were the reigning world champions. They'd pretty much been undefeated until 2025. So they were like a big team on the cards. And then the other team is China, so you can't ever really count them out. If you look at the last few Olympics, they're always on the podium. I think they might have won from London onwards. So yeah, you can't ever count them out, even if you haven't seen that kind of form in training or in racing. But we started to win at Nations Cups the year of the games, and that gave us that little bit of excitement of, oh, this is becoming a reality now. So yeah.
Well, that's such an achievement. It's so wonderful to see the women's cycling really evolving. And you were saying to me earlier on, actually, that you feel that the reason, I suppose, the women's cycling now is more prominent and women are doing not only better but having longer careers is because there's a different approach to how, women train now. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So when I first joined the academy programme, we call it the podium, which is the team that goes away and competes, was one big squad. So the women and the men were all in together. And so, as you can imagine, the coach would give similar philosophies to everybody. However, I don't think, well, this is my opinion in hindsight, that was necessarily the best for everyone. Some people thrived off it, but some people just didn't seem to find anything. And I think that since we separated the squads and we've had some really good coaches come in who've been quite attentive to what we need and how to work with us, and there've been questions also asked around our menstrual cycles and how that has affected us. For instance, our squad had a big incidence of lower back pain for a really long time, which was keeping people from training. And the physio team worked with the staffing team and did this big project, and all of a sudden we went from losing many, many days. So I think we lost one within a year after this big study, because women are more likely to have like ligament strains in certain points in their cycles, and this research just hadn't been done before. Wow. And then because we could train more and we had like individualized training that was helping us make the most of that, I think that's when our progress started to almost exponentially increase. And I think that's been a big part of why us as a squad have got better. But I think that's basically worldwide now, like the force that women are coming through with, because they've got things that are designed for them and they are also getting the attention that they need, is huge. Yeah. And I think it's almost just the start, because I think you reap the rewards of that further down the line. Like, it'll just be a domino effect now.